My family banned me from the reunion for being too poor, then they walked into my legacy. The invitation showed up on a Wednesday black cardboard sheet with silver foil writing. Silver black. It declared the yearly reunion of the Hawthorne family scheduled for San Francisco. I gazed at it, running my fingertips over the delicate pattern, while old memories of eye rolls, sharp comments, and forced grins rang in my head. Although I go married Blake in the corporate world these days, my name is Marin Hawthorne. 15 years ago, I was the family disappointment. The artistic one turned down a spot at Hawthorne Investments to study hotel management in Portland, the black sheep with a dream and no actual future. Buzzed on my phone was a call. "Serena, my cousin. Here we are," I response. Married, she sang much too well. "Are you sure you received the invitation?" "Yes, I did." Well, I wanted to add, the gathering this year is very elegant. The Celestia Resort has quite sophistication. You grasp, correct? From Blake Hospitality Group's penthouse office, I saw the Los Angeles skyline. I almost let out a chuckle. Celestium, first five-star hotel that I visited. The Hawthornes were ignorant of it, however. "Are you saying, Serena, I'm not fitting in?" "Oh," she murmured in a sticky, sweet tone. "Not like that. Basically, we'll have tech entrepreneurs, senators or two, and celebrities. You are aware of how much appearances matter. She met me based on looks. Couldn't have her powerful pals knowing her cousin used reception. And who decided on the site? Obviously," she added triumphantly, "I did. Dad claimed I had a natural taste for opulent settings. Above all in the Bay Area is the Celestia. I have to land it with a major favor call-in." I almost choked. Our booking page had shown the favor. At 40% over our premium rate, I personally approved of it. I remarked, "That must have been difficult." "Not everyone," she gloated, "has my influence. Mo, the owner. Blake is withdrawn, but when he heard the Hawthorne name, his crew was rather helpful. They were, of course, I instructed them to extend the red carpet. Still," Serena added, "I know you understand. Perhaps next year after you have progressed from that Silver Lake boutique lodging. That hotel set off my whole enterprise." "Sure, Serena. Maybe the next year." Serena teased that motel. It was really my pilot property, where I tested and polished the ideas that would eventually become Blake Hospitality Group, a disruptor in the luxury hotel scene. But long ago, the Hawthornes ceased paying close attention to my profession. "Something like that," I had told her. I hung up and relaxed back in my leather chair. Benevolent behind the double-glazed windows, the sound of Los Angeles traffic is muffled. Memories shot in. Having graduated from the University of Oregon with a degree in hotel management 15 years ago, I was full of ideas but lacked family support. "Are you going to make your life cleaning rooms?" My father had become somewhat expansive. "No Hawthorne has a name tag." I did, however, and I taught personnel, cleaned floors, carried bags, and attended to unhappy visitors. I wanted to operate hotels, but more than that. I aimed to rethink them, and I had to know every inch of their operation if I was to do it. I launched my first property, a boutique stay in Silver Lake known as the Blue Lantern, 4 years later. Every Sunday, it sold out. At 34 now, I have 21 luxury resorts spread throughout 5 nations. My crown gem was the Celestia, their reunion site. Twice a luxury resort of the year, it combines California coastal architecture with sustainable technologies. And now, somehow, my family felt it was too nice for me. Once more, buzz on my phone. Marcus was my helper. "Reunion contracts must include your signature. Would you want me to bring up?" I grinned as I wrote back. "Not at all necessary. For this one, I have ideas." Opening my laptop, I started finishing the tweaks. When the outsider signs your guest list, they were about to see what exclusion looks like, that which they believed I was unfit for. Every choice about the reunion would pass via my hands, the lighting, the music, the chef's tasting menu, even the ambient perfume applied in the lobby. Time was for a subdued display. Like when they set me at the children's table far into my 20s, or worse, Serena's wedding, when she unintentionally had me seated next to the valet crew, memories burnt in my head. She had remarked, I would feel more at home. By then I had 9 hotels. They never asked inquiries. They never turned from the conventional picture of me. Though she never realized how far I had gone, only my younger sister Camille had kept in contact. She gave me a call just as the preparations were being final. Marin spoke softly. "Serena told me she begged you not to show up." "I apologize much," I said, signing the last contract with a grin. "Not being like this." I do have a favor, really. Could you ensure everyone shows there precisely at 7 p.m.? Why, what is occurring? Let us assume Serena is not the only one having contacts at Celestia. The 2 next weeks passed quickly. I supervised everything, even the shade for the flower centerpiece. I was going to give them a night to remember if they were going to kick me out of my own resort. The Hawthorne family aspired to luxury. I was going to provide them a spectacle they would never forget. I watched my workers clean the marble until it reflected like glass, silently in the Celestia lobby the night before the reunion. Every element of the decor with seaside inspiration was illuminated by light dancing across the room from the crystal chandeliers. White stone columns, subdued gold trim, sea glass embellishments. Everywhere was perfect. Marcus sat next to me, iPad in hand. Every plan is validated. New signs will first show up precisely at 7:15 p.m. right tomorrow. Are you very sure about this? I did not hesitate. I considered Serena's haughty phone voice and the years of microaggressions and icy treatment. Certainly. Not every day, after all, allows me to welcome my family to my own resort. I grinned, already seeing their expressions as the reality dawned. Tomorrow would bring about everything's transformation. Right at 6:45 p.m., I watched security footage of the arrivals from my own apartment on the top level the following evening. They arrived like clockwork. Designer handbags, heels clicking, Rolexes shining, everyone vying to top one another in a flimsy parade of riches. Serena walked in red Valentino, yelling commands like she was management. She stood next to the flower arrangement, camera poised. My father's black Bentley rumbled up next, followed by expensive automobiles loaded with relatives, uncles, and cousins I hadn't seen since the family's collapse. Everything is ready, Marcus remarked, looking down at his computer. The staff is aware of their cues. Want constant protection on call? I gave my head a shake. Not at all necessary. The Hawthornes would not dare destroy their own fantasy of beauty. I changed my slate gray suit, personalized Armani. Not that any of them would think I had more of the brand than half the room or knew about it. Let them settle down, I advised. This is going to be entertaining. The reunion hummed with champagne and self-congratulation in the great ballroom. Serena boasted next to the fountain, remembering her attempt to reserve the site. My father whirled about with old friends, clearly flaunting his investment fortune. My relatives positioned themselves in front of the Celestia signs as if it somehow confirmed their rank. Right on time at 7:10 p.m., the hotel manager walked up to Serena. Ms. Hawthorne, I think your reservation has a little problem. Serena's refined demeanor turned sour. I'm sorry, I set this up straight from your corporate headquarters. True, ma'am, the manager answered. Simply said, the owner had very specific directions for tonight. Serena giggled and waved a polished hand. Please, I very certainly disbelieve Mr. Blake has time to play around with event specifics. As I moved forward from the rear of the ballroom, the place became quiet. Actually, I replied coolly, Mr. Blake worries about quite a lot of stuff. Remember to subscribe to the channel even if you felt that moment of silent triumph deep in your chest, because what occurs at that reunion will make everyone stunned. Silence turned out like a veil. Every head in the ballroom turned toward me, the forgotten cousin, the so-called disgrace, suddenly standing at the entrance of the most exclusive resort on the West Coast, clothed in a tailored suit most likely costing more than Serena's handbag collection. Aquatic? The quiet broke with the voice of my father. You're doing here what? Serena snapped, then started to recover. I said straightforwardly, going forward, I couldn't afford to go. She worried about my embarrassing the family. Serena's cheeks became crimson. This serves just a personal need. Security escorting you out will be me. No, I said gently. Not Will. Marcus, standing subtly near the AV, was at that time table-touched a button on his iPad. The great LED screen behind the stage of the ballroom turned on. First, the Celestia Resort emblem showed, then strong lettering bearing owned and operated by Marin Hawthorne Blake, CEO and founder of Blake Hospitality Group. A gasp sounded throughout the ballroom. Glass clicked. One dropped a fork somewhere close to the fountain. Serena's champagne glass broke on the marble floor when it slid from her grasp. She stuttered. That is not conceivable. Would you like to view my business card? I kindly held out the elegant black leather case in my palm. Perhaps the property deed as well? I ran a little stroke over the portfolio. Eyes wide, voice low, my father moved forward. Are you the owner of this place? And I nodded at 20 more homes. Though unique, it's where I started my career. Back when you claimed I was wasting my life scrubbing hotel rooms. Again, the memories sprang to the surface. Serena pouting at my uniform for housework. My aunts murmuring that I'd settled. Cousins pulling me out of pictures like I didn't belong. I carried on, letting the words settle in all those years. You never once turned up, yet you looked down on me. I reached for Serena. You like mocking the little Silver Lake motel? That was my prototype, my invention lab, the basis of what this sector now refers to as the gold standard. Marcus moved forward and gently handed important family members beautiful navy folders. These, he added, included the actual history of Blake Hospitality Group, as well as the evening event invoice. Serena grabbed hers and rifled through it with shaky hands. Her eyes opened wider. This is above the market rate. About 40% higher, I verified. If at all possible, a family surcharge. Camille laughed out of the rear of the room. A few more followed, uncomfortable at first, but more audacious as the tension broke. My father fixed me with a stiff jaw. Why never had you ever told us? I raised his eye. Would you have taken my word for truth? He said none at all. Nobody took action. Still, at that instant, the stillness spoke volumes. You told me 35 years ago that no daughter of yours would ever work at a hotel. My voice was calm but clear. Well, on one thing you were correct. I work not at a hotel. I stopped, then started to grin. I am the owner of them. Every computer screen in the room came alive. Panoramic pictures of my resorts all around danced around the floor. The Maldives' golden tones from our overwater villas, the Swiss Alpine retreats' snow-dressed grace. The great height of our glass-fronted Dubai home, where the horizon's skyline seemed to be a crown. Regarding tonight's reunion, I added gently, your reservation hasn't been canceled. You are free to remain. Actually, I've booked a private property tour. You guys should see what a profession in customer service really entails. Serena stepped forward, her immaculate image crumbling. Marin, we never planned for her. I cut her off softly but brutally. You definitely did. Every sarcastic joke, every time you left me out of the picture, every time I was treated like the help. I gazed around the room, voice rising just slightly, but I was working to create a legacy while you were preoccupied with your position. Salutations from Celestia. The assembly moved. Though Serena, I added, your accommodation had to be changed last minute owing to a high-profile booking. My crew will accompany you to your upgraded suites. You have to be housed in one of our regular queen rooms. Her face became a deep red. Under the same room classification, she used to make fun of my housework, some in uncomfortable quiet, some frantically talking, as the family followed staff to their rooms. Behind remained my father. I was mistaken, he remarked in an unusually gentle voice. About everywhere. I watched him for a long time. The individual who denigrated my decisions now appeared minor, doubtful. Yes, I answered softly. But Dad, do you want to know the greatest aspect of running 21 hotels? He curved his eyebrows. You may choose any one of my 21 presidential apartments to remain in while you work out how to write things. A little grin pulled at his lips. Where might you learn to bargain like that? Probably the same place I learned genuine leadership, something this family never had to do, starting from the bottom. That evening, after the completion of the private tours and subdued talks, I stood in my rooftop apartment with a view of San Francisco cityscape. Marcus showed up with a folder. The last figures tonight, he said. Your family appears ashamed. I burst out laughing. Incredible what a little viewpoint and a room without views can do. You are going to inform them? He asked. Regarding Paris? Tokyo? I turned to face the desk with the contract waiting to be signed. Not yet, I laughed. Let their astonishment be yours. The Celestia was just starting point. Remember to subscribe even if you have liked seeing Marin recover her authority. For the planet grows even more vast in the following chapter. And the household? Still learning is what they are not done. I remarked aloud to none. Let's preserve something for the reunion next year. San Francisco's metropolis lights flashing underneath me. Every sensible hotelier is aware. Repeated visitors are the ideal kind. Leaning against the floor-to-ceiling window of my apartment, my reflection was framed by the skyline I used to just dream about. Though it had not been simple, the trip from cleaning baseboards to signing international development contracts had been well worth it. Success I came to see never about retribution. It was not about proving my relatives incorrect. It was about establishing my correctness. And sometimes, the best kind of retribution isn't at all chilly. It's cozy, opulent, presented with a vista that astounds you and a rooftop breakfast. For Serena, my phone buzzed. Would be great to chat tomorrow. I grinned and scribbled a quick line back off. Your breakfast reservation is naturally at 9 a.m. I run another restaurant as well. There was power in simplicity, not just in money or property or status, but in being seen, finally, for who I really was. Not the help, not the outsider, not the family joke, but Marin Blake, the woman who built something real, the woman who was invited to the reunion but too busy hosting it. Looking out over the city and the brilliant Celestia signs below, I felt it in my chest. That sensation of serenity, closure, of purpose. Tomorrow would mark the beginning of the next phase in the Hawthorne family's narrative. Not one born of hollow pride or old money, but from something earned. Since at the end of the day, every outstanding hotel knows the secret. It's not simply about providing a bed. It's about offering somebody something they won't soon forget. And tonight, my family would remember. If this far you have made it, thank you for traveling this road with me. Your opinions would be much sought for. Comment below and indicate what you would have said had you been in my position that evening. Would you have been silent? Would you have taken the same decisions? Alternatively, would you have behaved quite differently? Let me discuss it with you. I go over every remark, and your viewpoint is more important than you would realize. And press that subscription button if you felt even a sliver of motivation for my tale. This was not just about a reunion, so there is more ahead. More moments of truth, more familial twists, more development. It was about recovering space that I had always owned first. I have learned the following here. Sometimes the world and the people living in it won't notice you until you have created something so indisputable they cannot ignore. That's acceptable. Allow their laughter. Let people question. Let them call you the underdog. You may ascend softly, steadily, strongly. Beginning small is a good start. Start where they see you as nothing, and build your foundation from every slight, every nasty comment, every exclusion. You have no need of getting even, you just need outcomes. And grin when that day arrives and they enter a place you own without even realizing it yet. Not because you defeated them. Rather, you never needed their permission to shine. Their opinion of your value never changed. Thus develop, dream, show presence. And when you do, I will be here from the penthouse supporting you. If you've ever been treated like you didn't belong, if you've ever sat at a dinner table feeling invisible while everyone looked past you, if you've ever been cast aside by your own family, not because you weren't enough, but because you dared to be different, then maybe, just maybe, you'll understand what I went through. But here's what I've learned. You don't need an invitation to walk into a room you built. You don't need validation to prove you deserve to be seen. I didn't return to the reunion for revenge. I came back to show them. Without needing them, I still made it. And sometimes, the sweetest triumph isn't in hearing them say sorry. It's in watching them fall silent when they realize the person they dismissed is now the one rewriting the family legacy. So now I ask you, if it had been you, what would you have done? Would you have stayed silent? Or stood tall and reminded them who you are? I read every comment, every story, because your journey is part of this journey too. And if this story touched even a corner of your heart, hit that subscribe button so we don't lose each other in the chapters yet to come, because this is only the beginning. That's the end of this story. If it spoke to you, please leave a comment, like, share, and subscribe so we can keep making more stories like this. Thank you for listening. Take care, and we'll see you in the next one.